prepare to be captivated by a spine-tingling story from my past, a night that plunged me into a world of horrors I could never have imagined. I was a mere 17 years old when life was a tapestry of youthful dreams and endless possibilities. This unsettling tale is not for the faint of heart, a journey that delves into the darkest recesses of fear and survival. As the air grew colder and winter's chill drew near, I found myself stranded at the bus stop after a rigorous gym session. The snow began to fall, creating a picturesque yet ominous backdrop. I had missed my bus, my parents were out, and taxis were an expensive choice. Left with no alternative, I reluctantly took refuge in the bus shelter, resigned to wait. An eerie silence enveloped the world outside, shattered only by the ominous approach of a stranger. Dressed in layers of clothing, he moved stealthily towards me, casting a pall of dread over my peaceful solitude. Avoiding his gaze, I immersed myself in my phone, but I could feel his presence, like a shadow in the night. He chose a distant corner of the shelter, his unsettling eyes fixed on me. The unsettling quiet was ruptured when he inquired, "When is the bus due?" I reluctantly removed my earphones and replied, "I think it's delayed due to the snow." His response was a prolonged, disquieting stare and a series of incomprehensible mumbles. A sense of unease intensified, and I feigned interest in my phone, hoping he would back off. As the minutes crept by, I dared to glance up, only to find the stranger had encroached closer. Fear surged through me as I watched him inch closer, and the dread grew unbearable. "You okay there?" I stammered, my voice trembling. He leaned closer, and panic clenched my heart. In that moment, I grabbed my bag and fled as he collapsed to the ground. Running down the desolate road, fear drove me not to look back. Reaching the next bus stop, I finally glanced around, expecting the stranger to have vanished. Yet, he was there, peering through the glass, and I was consumed by a cocktail of terror and anger, bracing for the worst. A gut-wrenching turn of events transpired as he lunged at me, forcing me to evade his grasp. He fell, face first, and blood oozed from his wounds. Shock and confusion held me in their grip as I frantically called the police and paramedics. The stranger's story was far more intricate than I could have anticipated. As the authorities arrived, I discovered that the man had been under the influence of potent prescription drugs. A photograph in his wallet revealed the root of his disarray, a son who bore an uncanny resemblance to me. His life had unraveled after losing custody of his child, and the night's events were the culmination of his despair. This chilling night, steeped in terror and uncertainty, unraveled the astonishing power of empathy and understanding. It serves as a haunting reminder that every individual we encounter possesses their own, often hidden, narrative. In the end, compassion and intervention not only saved my life, but also extended a lifeline to a man who had ventured to the edge of darkness. Reflecting on this life-altering experience, I am haunted by the resilience of the human spirit, the capacity for change, and the profound impact of a single act of kindness. May this nightmarish tale compel you to approach life's dark corners with caution, knowing that even in the most terrifying moments, empathy can be a guiding light.